just ask, of course, Alex, something which is self-evident as a question. I mean, because Alex is someone who participated in roundtable negotiations in Poland. They finally brought the peaceful transformation of Poland and the whole Central and Eastern Europe from communist to democracy. Once the Iron Curtain had fallen, he co-founded the Social Democratic Party of Republic of Poland and became its first chairman. Back in '95, he actually won elections against unbeatable guy, Lech Walesa, first time, showed that he's beatable. And then he repeated it 5 years later. That's the reason why he actually led Poland through this process all the way to the end. He's also very present in different reconciliation processes, especially the reconciliation process in between Poles and Germans, the Jews and the Ukrainian people. I would ask him just to give us his introductory remarks about, I mean, how actually was possible. How was possible in such a short time, with such neighbors, with such a history, to get from hardcore communism to become full-size, full-scale, one of the leading European democracies. Of course, I will misuse what we were talking privately, I mean, because he gave me one excellent line by saying that they succeeded in let's say, transforming to state-owned economy to modern market economy, because they realized that if you want to become capitalist state, you need capital to come into the Poland, and capital actually came into Poland. There is another country that is today on the front pages, Ukraine, which actually also went through transformation and privatization, but without capital coming in, and that's where they are. So I would highly appreciate, Alex, if you just share with us some thoughts about how actually you made it, and what would be your recommendations for someone, because after all, you're a role model of success.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation here to Sarajevo. I walked a little bit through the city after many years, because last time I've been here in the end of '90s, and really this is a great satisfaction to see rebuilt places, nice streets, and smiling people. That is a good sign. Then, of course, thank you, Zlatko, for your introduction, but I have to add something, that it will be not very modest from my side, that in this short 25 years history of democratic Poland, I'm only one Polish president who was re-elected. Just, thank you. But it means that really this period of my political job was well, not bad, and I can tell you about this let's say Polish case, and I have to say one thing from the very beginning, that of course the difference between countries, Bosnia and Herzegovina, but not only, and Poland is quite crucial, because of the history Poland, which was very multinational, multicultural, and multi-religious state and society before World War II, because we had almost 40% of minorities, Ukrainians, Belarusians, Germans, Czechs, and Jews. Poland had the biggest Jewish community in the world, bigger as in the United States, in 1939, before when the war started. And because of Nazis who killed Jews, because of the change of the borders, result of Yalta agreement, Poland lost 40% of the territory. We have 30% of new territory, and Poland is one of the most homogeneous societies in Europe now. And of course, this homogeneous background is sometimes very helpful, like when we speak about strategic goals, and is sometimes not so good, because we are a little bit maybe too homogeneous, but this is a question which will change, because the wave of migration will come, but this is a different story, and probably not for today. But of course, I think the Polish case, even with this remark, is interesting, because it was really the way of pioneers. We started as a communist country with state-owned economy. 86% of Polish export was supplied to the Comecon countries, to the eastern countries. Poland was like all communist countries without democratic institutions, with one leading communist party. And we changed the situation so much that today we are not only a member of the European Union and NATO, but we are the country with market-oriented economy, with quite matured institutions of democracy, and with 86% of our export, much higher as before 25 years ago. 86% of Polish export is going to the West, to the European Union and Western countries. So that's in quite short time, because 25 years, this is not, from the historical point of view, that is not a very long period, but we change this situation totally, and it means that it's possible. That is the first lesson, that is possible. How it was possible? It was not easy, because I use very often such example that if you want to know how to go from the feudalism to the capitalism, how to go from the not developed capitalism to the very developed capitalism, to the welfare state concept, you can find millions of books, and you can find the books of Nobel Prize winners, etc., etc. But the book, how to go from the state-owned economy to market economy, how to go from non-democratic system to democratic system, it was a pioneer job of Poland and other Central European countries. It was impossible to find a book, because now we have some books about it, but in the beginning of the 90s, it was really something what was terra incognita. It was the way in which we decided to go, and successful. What are the reasons or the sources or the factors of this success? The first, I think, very important, that we decided in Poland to go on the evolutionary way and not revolutionary way. And the main element was dialogue and compromise. And I think it was an extremely important and positive decision that we decided to change this system, organizing roundtable talks and then organizing this very sensitive and very sophisticated compromise between Solidarity movement, opposition those time, and Communist Party. And this, of course, we have a lot of critics in Poland also, that it was not good, the revolution would be much better, but I'm absolutely sure that revolution would be very costly, very dramatic, with a lot of victims, probably blood, and the results would be much worse as we achieved now. So the first, evolution, not revolution, and dialogue as a form of political life, and the best concept how to achieve compromise. Second, what Zlatko mentioned, the change of the economy was also very dramatic. In Poland, we had so-called shock therapy. The shock therapy was very painful for many people. They lost jobs. We closed many factories. Some regions, they had even now some kind of structural unemployment, etc. But this shock therapy was very important, because it happened during the time when the enthusiasm of the people was the highest, when we had this feeling that now is time to do a lot and suffer a lot and sacrifice a lot, and to find this momentum is extremely important, because I'm sure that the countries which decided to go not on this shock therapy way, but to step by step, they achieved not so good result, because one day frustration of the people, disappointment is so strong that you cannot continue this very strong methods or propose such very tough decisions. But we decided to organize, because the main problem of all communist countries was how to organize capitalism without capital. And of course, in Russia, Yeltsin, in Ukraine, they decided to create artificial capital. And now they have these oligarchs, etc., because everything was artificially organized. We decided, and it was also very criticized inside Poland in the beginning, to invite foreign capital, foreign investors. Because foreign investors, for us, it was a signal that we have not only the real money, but we have know-how, we have a high culture of management, and we have approach to the foreign markets. And this concept helped us very much because each year we had something of 20 billion investments, FDIs in Poland each year. And in these 25 years, we have, I think, 250, something like that, the billions of US dollars FDIs. We have main companies, we have main international banks working in Poland. And of course, from conservative part of Polish political landscape, we have a strong criticism that that is wrong. We are too much international, we are not independent. But I think if we see result of this transformation, it was really needed and successful. The next element, of course, was democracy. For democracy, it was necessary to prepare constitution. It was my job also, because before I was elected as a president, I was a chairman of Constitutional Committee of National Assembly. We prepared constitution. This constitution was adopted in national referendum '97, and this is also extremely important to have this frame, these pillars of democracy, and then to stabilize these pillars. And therefore, Poland in the last years didn't change the constitution. And I said many times when such constitution discussions started, I said, look, the constitutional stability is a value itself. Of course, that is not ideal constitution. It would be something to change in the constitution, but remember, to create cultural, legal culture, to create constitutional culture, understanding the constitution is the pillar, is the fundament of the democracy in our country, is necessary to stabilize constitution and to protect the constitution, because stability of the constitution is also value. The next element, which is a very political one, is that for all these main goals, we had from the very beginning of our transition, and frankly speaking, until our entry into European Union, it means 2005, we had a wide consensus between leftists, rightists, moderate parties, etc. And that is extremely important, because you cannot change your strategy because you change your government or president. If you want to achieve such goals like NATO, like European Union, it's necessary to be very constant in this way. And in Poland, this wide consensus, it was consensus of at least 75–80% of voters voting for different parties. They were very much in favor of NATO and EU. And of course, the main strategic goals for Poland was democracy, what I said, was market economy, what I said, was NATO and EU. Why NATO and EU? Of course, if you know the history of Poland, that is obvious that for us, the security was one of the main elements. Because in our more as 1,000 years history, Poland was the most popular battlefield in Europe. Because of our neighbors, and not only Russians and Germans, but also these calm Swedes decided in the 17th century to invade Poland. I don't speak about Turks, I don't speak about others, you know. And the reason why Poland is a so popular battlefield is very simple, because first of all, we are in the center, in the heart of Europe, and secondly, we have flat territory. It's a good place for battles, you know, unfortunately. And then for us, the security was absolutely the most important. And the alternative was NATO or some kind of gray zone of security. We decided to go to NATO, and NATO membership was politically important from security point of view, but was very important from political point of view, because first time in our history, Poland was in the same political and military alliance with Germany, with our big neighbor and 1,000 years main problem, not to say enemy. And why NATO was also so important? Because NATO is not only military organization, it's not only political structure, that is only the community of values like democracy, like freedom, like human rights, like rights for minorities, etc. Everything what was mentioned by George. And for us, this first step to be in NATO meant that it's necessary to accept these values, and it's necessary to prepare not our political system, not our legal system to protect these values, but to prepare our mentality also. To understand that now we are in the club where it's necessary to accept these rules of politics, rules of life, and I think it was a very important step. And one of such additional element of our NATO membership was foreign investments, because the country which is a partner, a member of NATO, is a good partner, is a predictable partner, and is sharing the same values. European Union was much more complicated problem. We signed first association agreement with EU in 1991, and finally we achieved our full membership 2004. So it was 13 years of difficult job. But for us, EU was important because it was finally the decision that we are in the same family. We are in European family together. And Poland, from the very beginning, had the understanding, the feeling that we are part of Europe, historically. To say that Krakow is not a European city, or to say that Warsaw is not a European city, would be stupid, you know. We were, from the very beginning of our history, part of European culture, of European heritage, of European values. And for us, European Union membership was the final stage of this long way. And then, of course, the EU for us was a chance for the development, for huge progress for economy, infrastructure, education, etc. And therefore, and I have to say that after 10 years of our membership, our understanding of EU, our understanding of our role in EU was correct. We have a lot of evidence that our thinking about European Union and our membership was correct. Now we have real positive results of that. Finally, and that is also advice to all countries which want to be part of EU, is not so easy, because I remember one word, one description, which was dramatic during this long time of our accession fight. It was homework. I remember my meetings with many presidents, prime minister, and they repeated, you know, you have to do your homework. And I had the feeling that they treat Poland and myself like a child or like a pupil in the school, and they speak still about this homework. But I tell you, from the perspective of 10 years of membership, it was very correct. Because if you fulfill your homework better, you have more fruits from your membership. You have better chances to use finance, support, know-how from European Union. If your homework is only so-so, that, of course, this effectiveness of your membership is very, very limited. And I'm very thankful to all my European partners who were so boring speaking about this homework, that they said so. Because Poland was well prepared to the membership, and now we have really fantastic results, starting with money, but also with other elements of reforms because of our membership. Well, it's a long story, but speaking as brief as possible, I tell you Poland, and not only Poland, because I can tell you the Slovakian case, Czech case, and Baltic states case, Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia, they are really good examples that this success is possible, is achievable. And this way to go to EU, of course, paying sometimes high price, making this necessary homework, being patient very much, and sometimes even nervous that the Europe is not enough friendly or pleasant. That is possible, and that is my first advice to all of you who wants to be members of European Union. That is possible, and that is a great thing what you should do. The second element is European Union, and I can very briefly support everything what George Papandreou said. I think to stop enlargement, it would be the big mistake. I understand the problems in Europe now. To speak to European leaders who are spending days and nights discussing Greece now, and next month UK case and referendum, or probably other cases, because we have very sensitive situation in many countries, including Poland. We don't know what kind of results we'll have in the coming parliamentary election. So that is, of course, a little bit too much. But if you want to speak strategically about European Union, I'm sure that we have to continue enlargement. We have to continue enlargement because we are all are Europeans, because we are ready to share the same values. We have, as a European Union, we have no right to say to the countries which is prepared to be part of European Union not, because we have to accept it. And that is very general also argument which I want to raise, that in this new world, because now we have a 21st century and we'll have soon new architecture of the world. And this global world, the European Union, strong and large European Union, has more chances to play some important role as without that. Of course, the worst scenario for Europe would be collapse of European Union or disintegration, what is a good wish of Mr. Putin, for example. But in my opinion, today, European Union integrated with deeper, with stronger institutions of European Union and still open for enlargement, ready to accept new members, especially here in Balkans region, can play really leading role among, together with China, United States, India probably, etc., in this new global architecture of the world of 21st century. So also from this point of view, this enlargement is extremely important. And if you want to solve, and this is last point, if you really want to solve these very dramatic problems with the past, with the history of last decades, with Yugoslavian conflict and everything what we have, if we want really to go on the way of reconciliation, European Union, European experience is extremely useful too. Because one of the main elements of European Union at the beginning, when this construction of European integration began, was reconciliation. Please understand, the first organization, this European community of steel and coal, was organized by Germany and France, two countries which were the main enemies during two dramatic, tragic wars on the European continent, World War I and then II. So reconciliation is one of the very important pillars of European integration. And this example and this experience and this kind of education also, what we could observe in France, Germany, in last years in Poland, can be extremely helpful also here in your region. So my answer on this question, to go to enlarge further or not, is obvious. Of course, it's necessary to do it, not only because of the interest of this country, because of the interest of Europe as a whole. Thank you.